greatest show on earth.
Welcome back to the Con Culture Convo, guys. I am your host, Chris Bauer, joined with me by my other host, Tim Hyde. Tim, I haven't seen you in, actually since Salt Lake, which is ironic because we're going to review FanX today. Where have you been?
So normally I look very pretty and very, youthful and energetic, but I'm tired as hell because I just got back from a vacation to Spain, and I'm not complaining about going to Spain. I'm just complaining that I'm a little jet lagged. I literally just landed. So I am pooped.
Is it like Spain, Texas, or like where the pores go, or?
Yeah, España de San Antonio. Yeah.
Oh, that's good. I hear it's very nice this time of year.
No, so me and my dad always, well, not always, but my dad and I lately in the last 3 years have gone to Europe for my only vacation of the year, really.
Nice.
As you know, it's kind of hard to take vacation in this industry. You have to force yourself to take it.
Yes, I'm not good at it.
You are terrible at it.
I'm the worst.
Yes, you are 100%.
Yeah.
So yeah, we took that. We went to southern Spain, and it was absolutely delightful. We got to stay on the beach in Nierja. If anybody ever is thinking about going somewhere smaller, we went to Granada, Nierja, and it's a nice little beach village and huge British expat area. And it was
so it's near Spain, Texas. Got it.
Yes. Yes.
Spain. Holy crap. Only you would be like, I'm vacationing in Spain. Then we have to winterize the Hamptons home. Yes.
I can promise you I spent significantly less on this trip than you did going to Disney like a couple hundred miles away. So
yeah. Or the 80th time.
Like we could break down the cost of what trip that was and this one on another one. If anybody wants to see that, we can. And then we'll talk about who's bougie and who's not. So.
I never want to let people know how much I've spent on Disney vacations. I think that's one of those dirty secrets that go to the grave with families. You just move on.
Yeah, the credit card companies and Disney know, so there's no hiding them.
Their stock price went up significantly the week I went, or the 2 weeks we went.
What's sad is you spent so much money and you didn't even make a dent in their like sales. Like that, isn't that insane to think about? That there's like literally thousands of families doing the exact same thing you did at the exact time.
Dude, they could make Disney free for a month, and it probably wouldn't even make a blip on their earnings sheet. It's ridiculous.
It's absolutely. I mean, I love Disney, but you did it more than I've ever done it. So.
Oh my God, I don't ever want to do it again. I love Disney, but it's really nice to go the way you go, where it's like you just go because you have the annual pass. You just go in, dip in for a day. You don't really eat there. You just go ride some rides, hang out, and get out. Oh, that's the dream.
I eat and drink there. I love Disney cuisine and drinks and stuff. So I spend money on that.
Not the way I have to eat and drink there when we're spending for a family of 6 at the nicest restaurant you can find. Meal plan. Yeah. Who needs one of those? Just raw dog it.
They are bringing it back though, so
no, maybe, they did. We actually on this last trip they got rid of it during COVID. For those that don't realize, the meal plans are wonderful. They got rid of them during COVID so they could keep gouging everyone, because they're helping out the country. And but they finally brought it back for this year. And and I'll be darned, we were hard pressed to use all the meals on it. Like we were like that last night I was there, we were like rushing around trying to use up like the mid-range meals because we had so many more of those. Because you don't use them at the end of the week, you lose them.
Yeah.
And they were a lot of money.
Not that even if they did roll over, I don't see you plan on going back there anytime soon anyway. So I think they would have expired no matter what.
Right. Yeah, that's
just for a reference, for a 9-day trip to Spain, flights, hotels, Airbnb, food, alcohol, everything, I spent under $2,000 for myself. So
that's insane. That doesn't even. Why would you leave the house for that little? That's crazy.
Yeah. The food is really good, and most of the tapas bars in southern Spain, like you get free tapas for every drink you had. And the first place The first place we went with my dad, it was hilarious because we've done to Spain a couple of times, but we haven't gone all the way south yet. And it's a
Yeah.
different world there because they literally, it's just tapa bar city where like if you order a drink, they bring you out a tapa, which is a small plate,
Nice.
you know, and just of random things. They'll have like grilled fish. They'll do like a little salad. They'll do
That's nice.
patatas bravas, which is like a French fries with sauce
Is
on
that
it.
Russian?
That's Spanish. Hola. But like
I'm
we
not good
went
with
there the first
languages.
time, and me and my dad just wanted to get a couple of drinks, and we were gonna go to dinner after a different location. And we ended up getting, and we had like 4 or 5 drinks each, like glasses of wine. It wasn't like we got drinking
Yeah.
crazy. And our bill was, and like we got full off of the tapas. They bought us like 5 or 6 tapas. They just kept bringing them, and I
Right.
ordered like a side of fries just to like hold us over because I was like, I'm not hungry anymore. I can't go to dinner
Yeah.
after this. And for basically, I think it coming out to 9 drinks, it was like 17 euros with
You're
that and all the
kidding.
tapas for me and my dad. And I was like, so
Wow.
yeah, you don't really tip that much in Spain. So it was like, you left $20 total, and we had full dinner, 4 rounds of drinks, and it was lovely.
Yeah,
And it was
that'll
like,
do it.
at nighttime over near the ocean, like literally 2 blocks from the ocean, which is insane that those prices are like that anywhere in the
Yeah.
world.
Wow.
And
That's
it was
nuts.
like 75 degrees outside with the light breeze. It was just
Nice.
delightful.
That's awesome.
Delightful.
That sounds very
Um,
relaxing.
yeah. And so I left for there
Yeah.
on Monday after FanX, which is what we're going to
Excellent.
transition right now to.
The Con Culture Convo is supported by Toy Temple. Toy Temple is one of the largest Funko and exclusive pop culture distributors in the United States. They specialize in providing an experience for fans through events, experiences, and an easy to navigate website full of unique collectibles at incredible prices. They have 9 retail stores in Arizona, booths at San Diego and New York Comic Con, and a fast growing website with 24/7 customer service. So head on over to thetoytemple.com, and we have a special for our Convo listeners. Use promo code CONTALK15 to take 15% off your next order. That's thetoytemple.com. And thanks to Toy Temple for supporting the Convo. We're going to review FanX in Salt Lake City. It's only a few weeks late. No big deal. But
Yeah.
you don't care. You want to hear about the con. It'll be fine. They love it.
It's true.
Probably don't, but this is when it's coming. We just couldn't. He was out of the country, and you were how many hours? We did try once, but you were what, 8 hours ahead?
Yeah, 7. It was like basically 7 from where you were at, and it would have been too much because I'm waking
Impossible
up
to
while
time
you're going
that.
to bed, and
Right. And I was driving across country. It was just impossible. That's all right. So we're going to do it today. So hopefully you guys want to hear about FanX in Salt Lake City. Let's jump into the review.
Let's go.
All right. So you want to start with your load-in process? You want me to start?
Yeah, so I flew there. Well, okay, so randomly, I did something very unique. If anybody knows me personally, knows I've had a struggle with one thing and one thing only in this industry recently. Since COVID, and I'm not saying it's related to COVID or vaccines or whatever, but it's something probably absolutely could be, and I don't know which one it would be. Whatever.
He's blind. You're not blind.
No, it's at Salt Lake and Denver. The last 3 times at each, I've gotten severe altitude sickness, and I say severe, it's very severe.
You went to the hospital in Denver, didn't you?
Yeah, I got hospitalized the first time in 2021. I think it was right. I think it was that one that like
I had
August
to look
or
up
whatever
altitude sickness that year because you're like, I'm going to the hospital. I have altitude sickness. I was like, I think you just made that up.
Seriously, people think it's like some little joke. Yeah, and like there's like so many levels of severity of it too, and people are like, "Oh, you just get like a light headache for like 30 minutes and then you're fine." And I'm like, "Yeah, no, this was like me projectile vomiting and passing out, and the worst headache I've ever had in my life." And I mean, the problem is there's no real solution. There's lots of things you can do to try to make it dinner. It's just whenever your body's just like, "Okay, yeah, you're fine now, you're good, you adapted."
Right.
So I did talk to someone who's kind of a specialist in the matter, and they said that you just have to drive. And she's like, it's not going to be great, but
So you
to
ease
avoid
in
it,
by slowly ascending into that kind of
correct.
atmosphere instead of the abruptness of a flight landing into it.
Correct. Yeah. She goes,
So your body
you
can
fly from
adjust.
a really high altitude, land at a high altitude, and then you just stay there. Your body doesn't know what to do, especially if you're not hydrated enough. And, which
Interesting.
I drink a lot of waters and I didn't drink any alcohol to make sure I wouldn't get sick. And I still got crazy
Yeah,
sick. And it's happened to me 5 times
that's
total. And
crazy.
it's just been terrible. So
That is
from now on,
crazy.
I will be driving. So
So
I
it
did not
worked
want
out
to.
driving in then. You felt
So
pretty good
I
during the show.
I flew to California and visited my parents in Southern California for like 4 days before the show. And then I drove from there to Salt Lake. It's only about 10
I got you.
hours.
Sure.
And yeah, it was totally fine. So that
Okay.
definitely solved that problem, which is good. I
That's
just know
nice.
that if I
Yeah.
do a Denver, Colorado Springs, or Salt Lake, I have to just go
That's
somewhere else and
crazy.
drive. I mean, it's whether it's not worth the risk. Like even
Yeah.
I mean, the pain and just the shittiness is so bad. Anybody ever
Yeah.
makes fun of anybody who has altitude sickness has never had it, i.e., you, Chris.
Which is why I made
Um,
fun of you.
yeah, correct. You're like, yeah, that's fucking lame.
I've got the mountain flu. Yeah, I know. It's I'm
It's
done.
it,
You know.
it's
Don't look.
probably because you're so used to such high
It's
altitudes
true.
with your
I'm
fucking being 9 feet
always
tall.
I'm always up there.
I wonder if you would get sicker than me because you're taller,
I don't know.
or would
I know the
you
vomit
get
would take a
better
lot longer
faster?
to hit the ground.
Oh yeah, I mean,
You
because
know.
that's what that story was from when I projectile vomited and found that lady walking her dog. The other fun story I told on here a couple episodes back. That
Sure.
was because I had altitude sickness. So
It's a
yeah,
good
good times.
callback.
Yeah, we're a little
Uh
flashback, baby. Let's go callback.
flashback. Okay, so as for those that don't know, you probably already know. Salt Lake comes in. FanX always starts on Thursday and goes through Saturday
Yep.
because on Sundays, it's a Mormon city, very religious. Nothing's open on Sundays, so they can't have a con on Sundays. Well, they choose not
They
to because
can. Yeah, they can
somebody.
because I have a
So
show there. Yeah,
yeah,
I do it. And Sunday's our most attended day. So
I'll
just
bet
saying.
because they're looking for something to do. Is what they're so
Yes.
used to never having anything to do. But we digress. So either way, so that means we were both coming in on Wednesday. So you arrived about what time?
So I drove up Tuesday, actually made it the entire way to a little town called Provo, Utah, which is single-handedly the youngest and whitest area ever because it's by BYU. And
Sure,
everybody looks like a carbon copy of just like your pretty cute little white people. It was
sure.
insane. I felt like
It's
you're
your
in a
favorite
fantasy
place on
world.
earth.
Legit. You know me, I like older women. If you're single in your mid early 40s, I'm available.
What are we at? A
Um,
Tinder podcast all of a sudden? Who cares? So you
hey,
got to
I
the
do.
Crystal Palace. Now,
Yes.
were you in wave 1 or wave 2 on for setup, or did you even
Um,
look?
I didn't look
Yeah,
in
I was
any
gonna
way,
say
shape, or form.
most of the people in front of me in line for the loading dock didn't look either. Yeah, a-holes.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of wave 2s in front of me when I was a wave 1. Okay. Okay.
So I did a little tricky to do that day there, and
Yeah.
on the loading dock, it's off of a main street.
Right.
I got there early and literally just parked in a free parking spot
Right. Which
and
I've
loaded
definitely
in.
seen people do multiple times.
Easy,
I don't blame
easy,
them. I
easy.
mean, you're not on the schedule for the loading dock. You don't have anyone breathing down your neck to move your car. I totally
Huh,
get it. But you do have
huh.
to walk your stuff across traffic into the loading dock area and then enter the building.
Yeah, it's not bad though. It's not like a crazy populated
Yeah.
street. It's not like New York
No,
or
it's
some
not too
other,
bad.
So definitely
But
worth it. Because how long did you end up waiting in line? Because we
it
talked
was
in
about
line.
45 minutes. It was about 45 minutes that we ended up waiting,
Not
which
too
wasn't
bad.
too bad. If it had gotten more than an hour, I'd have been mad. It was already getting toward the end of where I felt, but we still at least moved. Like I probably sat to be the next car in for at least 15 minutes. So I was at the top of that line 30 minutes after I got into the line. So it wasn't
Huh.
too bad. I definitely couldn't really, I can't complain about it. It's pretty easy.
Yeah, and just I didn't want to tell Chris this because I would have upset him at the time. But I'll tell everybody now.
Good.
When I walked by, we talked for about 2 minutes before he was getting in line, and I
Yeah.
called him in. And when I went in,
Yeah.
as soon as I got in at the front of him, and I looked over, and there was like spot for like 20 cars. I was like, oh, okay. I'm glad I
Great.
didn't say anything to Chris, because
Awesome.
Chris would have got out and said, hey, buddy, there's a spot there. Can I take that one, please? You
Hey,
fucking
guy,
dock guard, hurry up. Let's go. Let's
come
go.
over
Come on.
here. We're going to talk. Yeah. Well, I don't
Yeah.
care. I got in and I started unloading. So but well, let's finish yours. How long did you end up, like, how did load in go, like, time wise from your parking spot?
10 minutes. I was 2 trips because I
It was
had
real cheap.
bags. So I
Real
didn't have
quick.
like my normal.
Oh, yeah.
Like I had a smaller setup by 2 water sally tables. It's the only show
Because
I
you had
pretty much do
flown
water
with
sally
it.
at.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I
That
flew.
makes
So
sense.
it was literally 3 bags, and then I had to do a second trip because I had some stuff that I had mailed in that I picked up.
I gotcha.
So I went, emptied out 2
Easy
of the
peasy.
bags, went back out, got the bags,
Yeah.
and went in. It was a total of 20 minutes. It was very easy.
Okay.
Yeah, super easy.
I took my time unloading because once I was in the loading dock, I ended up, I think I made, I don't know, probably 5 trips. I wasn't trying to overload it or try to move quickly because there was enough people moving in and out of the loading dock. They didn't need to worry about me. Also, I wanted to get enough setup done so that when I moved my car, I didn't have to go park it and waste $30 for that day or whatever it was going to be. Because I know on show days they take at least the parking garage underneath the garage, they take money, or they take the money at the top, so you don't even have to, like, you can't even get the option to be there an hour or whatever and then pay that. You just have to pay the 30.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if they were doing that on Wednesday or not. I didn't want to find out. So, yeah. So I'll back up just a little bit. Like I said, only spent about 45 minutes in line. Got my spot at the loading dock. Just started loading in at my leisure and started doing some setup. I got enough setup done that when I came out to leave or to move the car, we just went to the hotel to get checked in and everything. So it was pretty low key.
I went to go by and figured we were to record our convo at the con, and you were already gone. So I was like, oh,
I was
okay, then I'll see him tomorrow. Yeah,
that's right.
Later.
That's right. Because we definitely had time. Because I think the show didn't open until 3:00, or maybe it was 2 for the VIPs.
Was one for
was
VIP
it?
or something like that. Yeah, it
Okay.
was late, but not. It was good for what it was time wise. I really liked the time. I'm glad it's not 10 a.m.
I agree, because I came in the next morning, took my time setting up, and it only took 3-4 hours, and we still had time to go do our convo at the con, walk around, and before they actually opened, and so yeah, it was pretty low key. So yeah, that's pretty much cover setup for both of us, I would think. Was there anything else that stood out about it?
Our most watched convo at the con so far. So thank you guys for tuning in.
There you go.
One little cool thing is I had 6 people come up to me and thank me for the video that they did, like attendees, and that was pretty cool. Yeah, they recognized me and they were like,
for those of you guys
thank
don't
you
know,
so
if you
much.
haven't seen them, we are trying to do some, when we're at shows together, we're trying to do what we're calling Convos at the Con, where we talk about what's parking, eating right around the convention. We just trying to talk about little things that are going on that are relative to you attending that show that weekend, and we try to get it out just before the show opens. So if you got an upcoming con that you're coming to, keep an eye on our YouTube channel. You may see a combo with us giving you some pointers for that show. So that brings us to opening day, right?
The one thing I will give everybody a tip, if say you guys are watching this and you watch some other podcast or you talk to other vendors and stuff, and you realize, oh, you're getting this FanX all late. Okay, great. Just letting you know, when you get there, you have to do taxes first before you can even show up. They're very you walk over there, go to the tax people first, and then in line.
Right.
The lady recognized me.
And
the lady recognized me from, she was like, on my business number. She's like, this isn't right. She's like, what's your name? And I told her, and she's like, oh, wait a minute, you were the Anime Town shows. And I was like, yeah. She's like, hi. She's like, I'm your person. I was like, oh, we talked
back
for like
taxes.
No, I didn't. Thank God. Thank God. I will have to, but not yet.
Right. Yeah.
But
they are very religious about it there. No pun intended.
Okay, sure. They might be part of the same organization. I'm just saying.
You go and pay the church is all I'm saying.
Yeah. But yeah, so right into Thursday, it started, I think, at 1:00 for VIPs.
Yeah.
I did not start off very well. It
Yeah,
took a while for everybody, just the VIPs especially, just ran to the straight back
they
to go
always
get
do.
the autographs.
Dead
And
run, and I mean dead run. You'll hear them because
yes,
the volunteers are yelling, "No running, no!" And you're just—it's like
and
a
just
thundering herd heading to the
literally,
celebrities.
it's
It's
like you gotta
crazy.
like you know s- make sure that Mustafa is not anywhere nearby because
That's right.
you know.
He's gonna get caught up in it. And he's gonna claw you. Okay,
Sorry,
so wins
Lion
or
King spoiler. Sorry.
little spoiler. Yeah, a little late on that one.
If you haven't
Um,
seen it, you should.
yeah. Although we did out Vader was Luke's father on this podcast, so we're on
We're
top of these
killing
things.
dreams. We're killing
That's right.
dreams here.
So um Monday or Thursday was it's kind of the same thing. Start off, and I'll just spoiler alert. Every day, the first 2 to 3 hours of that whole weekend, minimal sales. Like it
Yeah,
was like, well, at least for me, because I know you said, well, we'll get into that, but like for me, I had a new booth position. I was actually closer than I was last year, up toward the main hall where the artist alley is. But I was not facing the entrance. I was not on the main aisle this year, and I was definitely nervous about it. And but yeah, every day it would just drag for what, just to the point where you're like, I am gonna bomb, and then it would just kick in. I'd be like, oh, okay. And like, so by the end of Thursday, I was like, okay, I did pretty good today, actually. That was not too bad at all. Actually, I was a little up from over last year. How'd your Thursday end up?
it was really disappointing for
Was it?
me. And that's a just want to let you know the reflections of Tim Hyde do not fully represent the culture convo entire podcast.
Right,
I
right.
absolutely anybody who knows me. I know the owner personally, Dan Farr. He's a friend.
Yeah,
I put on a show in Salt Lake. I love Salt Lake. It's one of my favorite cities to go to. It's
yeah,
always a top 3 show for me. A
sure.
little spoiler alert: this year it was not.
I
I
got
had
you.
my worst ever Salt Lake.
However,
And
you are doing a brand new product, as we've discussed on
correct.
this. I
Yeah.
can't imagine that you can really hold the same number standards that you've been used to with an established product, I guess is what I'm
Yeah.
saying. So
Yeah. Which
I mean, I know why
sucks.
you're
Yeah.
down, but it's going to come back up the more you stick with it.
Oh yeah, I'm not giving up. I mean,
Right.
I'm there next year. I already have it
Over
on
here
the
pep
calendar.
talking. Hang in there,
Yeah,
Tim.
I know,
You
right?
got this.
Thank God there's no bridge around. Fuck. Thank God there's any tall bridges in fucking Salt
Back
Lake.
off the bridge, Tim. Step away from the ledge. Okay, so that gets us into Friday morning, which is technically Saturday for this show. Friday's the big day. Um,
But
so
it's not.
did it start off? Right. I know Saturday still ends up being really good. However, I will say this: last year, my Friday was better than my Saturday, and
Really?
it actually tracked like a normal 3-day weekend: Thursday, Friday, Saturday. This year, I'll just get to the end of it. Friday was okay, but I was worried because I ended up being way less than I was at that point on last year on Friday. So it ended up being like, oh, okay, that should have been more than the typical first 3-4 hours, nothing, hardly anything. And then it was great the rest of the day, but it was by then it was like too little too late to make a certain number.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was a little nervous by the end of Friday.
Yeah, and I think that is because I've been doing that show as long as you possibly could. I did
Right.
since the first one basically on, and as someone who's been around the block now 10 years solidly doing it, I can tell right now the fans in Salt Lake, they are by far the largest and most obsessed with getting autographs and meeting celebrities of any
Yeah.
city, period. And that obviously has a
Yeah.
huge thing to do with why shows significantly start out slower for most people.
Sure.
That first 2 hours, I mean, they're obsessed with running. They'll at least go meet one or two. Everyone meets like one or
Yeah.
two people.
Yeah.
And I think they shifted a little bit of how they let people in the door. They
They
normally
did.
would put them at the front more so and then let them come in, but they did
Yeah.
towards the back. So I missed a lot of the traffic in the beginning of the
By
day.
back, we mean middle, basically, between the two.
Correct.
So the convention center is an L, and they usually have them come in the front, going through Artist Alley, and then
Yep.
down to the celebrities down at the bottom of the L. But they were letting them in right here at this middle.
Yep. So
So
it
they
all
were
skipped
just
to me.
running straight to celebrities. I knew it. I knew it was making a difference for the people up in Artist Alley. That whole front hall is used to having that crowd coming through them first. So yeah, I knew that change was definitely significant for you guys.
Yeah,
But you
and
brought up celebrities. Oh, go ahead.
oh, dude, the celebrity guest list was stacked. Yeah,
Well,
it
it was,
was.
but we have to mention what a celebrity that took a lot of money off of the table for everybody else. This was Mel Gibson's first con, and his autograph prices were insane. I mean, insane. Like it started, I believe it
Oh,
was $350 to
yeah.
go to his table, not meet him and not have him sign it, and just pick up a pre-signed 8x10.
Mm-hmm.
$350. That was where it started.
Yes.
And then they had price tiers for having your own item signed, getting a photo, doing the photo op. It was endless. You could have easily, doing everything with Mel Gibson, could have easily dropped $2 to $3 grand.
So if
It
you
was
did, if
unbelievable.
you want to hear the craziest thing, I've never seen this at a show ever happen.
Yeah,
So he was like, you had your table here, right? You walked up, like if we're
yeah,
looking straight down on it, it's like here. And then his table was actually way down here, probably about 50,
right,
60 feet away from where that table where the line is, where you could even possibly get in a line, behind
right,
a curtain. So you could pay
yeah,
extra to not meet
yeah.
him, but you could pay him to actually watch him sign your print from 50 feet away.
Wow,
And
insane.
apparently a lot of people were doing it because they wanted it
Yeah,
personalized. So you had to pay. So basically right there before you walk out that door of just the Mel Gibson experience, you're at minimum 650
yeah,
period. And I mean period. Before you did anything cool or
100%. And that wasn't
and
even
that's a
the photo
lot.
ops. That was just the
Yep.
autograph lines. I heard a pretty reliable rumor last weekend from a couple other vendors and people that are definitely in the know that his guarantee was $1 million.
I mean, I would say as someone who's been doing a lot of shows and been on the other side of
Yeah.
that, when they're announcing his name a lot, that's typically not a good sign.
Which I did notice on Sunday. They were like, Mel Gibson's open for cash. Come on
Saturday,
over. Yeah.
Saturday,
Was it
Saturday.
Saturday that they announced it?
It
Oh, I
wasn't on
said
Sunday.
Sunday. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry. Saturday/Sunday, because we all thought it was Sunday. I still do. Yeah, they
We
announced
were
that all
not
day
doing
long.
business. I just want to let you know for our friends of the Utah government, we were not doing business on Sunday. Okay.
We definitely were not doing business on the actual Sunday, but we're going to keep calling it Sunday because we can't help ourselves. It's the only con that doesn't have a con on Sunday. Everybody
Yeah.
does Saturday and Sunday. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Legit.
also, it's cute that you think the Utah tax board is watching this at all. They don't care. Either way, they're not
The
going to go after
church is
us if they
probably
were.
the
They're going
church
to
is
go
probably
after Mel
recording
Gibson.
this, but yeah. Oh my God.
He's the one that made all the cash. Go get him.
Heck.
I will say this. So my buddy Mig, Mig, he
Yep.
flew in. He was all about the Mel. He got a Braveheart poster signed. He got to meet him. Shannon got to go with him to meet him, so she got to meet Mel too. And he also did 2 photo
Shannon
ops
is
with Mel.
Chris's wife.
Shannon is my
FYI.
wife, yes. And she went over there and met him, but he bought 2 photo ops. And one was just one regular. It was a really great photo op. Mel was grinning ear to ear, which he should be. He was making a stupid amount of money. But the best photo op, I want to say one of the best things I've ever seen. Danny Glover was there, so they did a Lethal Weapon combo photo
Ooh.
op. And you got to get in between those guys, and Meg was right in between them, arms around each shoulder. They're all grinning ear to ear. And he looked like Joe Pesci on the movie poster. Like, 'cause, it was like, holy cow, that photo op was awesome.
Did he
And
say
I
how
didn't even
much that
ask him
one
how much
was?
he paid for it.
Yeah.
Do what?
That had to be close to $1,000, I'm gonna guess.
Had to be. I mean, and Danny
600 to a
Glover's in
grand
his
minimum.
80s, and he doesn't move around real. Like, who knows? First of all, I even told him this. I was like, it's good that you did this, no matter how much it cost, because this will probably never happen again. We don't know if Mel's ever going to do another show, but him and Danny being at the same show, I just don't see it happening again. And that was a great photo op. It really was. So it was kind of one of those once in a lifetime moments that you could pay through the nose for, but it looked really worth it.
Yeah. That's I know when they were doing the Hayden Christensen and our good friend Obi-Wan Kenobi photo op. I think it
Oh
was
yeah,
at, where was it? I forget what show it was. I know they did it in New York and did it somewhere
yeah,
else.
they did. San
And
Antonio last
this
year, San
lady
Antonio.
this lady had bought some stuff for me, and she
Yeah,
came back and she was showing me the photo sign. Like, well, she's actually coming back to pick up stuff that she had bought.
right.
And she was in a Padme outfit,
Yeah,
and she had Hayden Christensen like force choking her, and Obi-Wan Kenobi trying to stop the force choke. And she
and they
sent me the
weren't
photo
supposed to
op,
do
and they
it.
got
I
signed.
love that.
Oh, dude,
That's
they thought it
awesome.
was hilarious. They were like, "This
Oh,
is amazing."
that's
And I
great.
was like, "That's something that it's not worth." And it was only like $400 for the photo op, which is not
That
that bad for both
is
of them, to be
really
honest.
reasonable. You talk
Like
about
that
a
four hundred
Star Wars fan
dollars,
treasure. That's pretty
absolutely.
crazy.
So, how was your
Um,
Saturday?
so okay, so like I said, Saturday ended up. I did okay, but I didn't do anywhere near what I did on Saturday of last year. No, sorry. I'm doing it again. I went to Friday. So Friday. So let's get into Saturday. So
That's why I
Saturday,
asked.
same thing. Started. I know that's exactly what you asked. I'm caught up now, Tim.
Good.
Saturday started off slow, and again, I was already down from what I was last year. Which again, I keep saying that as a metric, and every time we do these reviews, I can't help myself because I have a sales background. In
Yeah.
sales, you're constantly trying to top your last time you were there. So, and I think most vendors do kind of hold that as a standard, but we know that is not a metric. There's good years and bad years at every single con, and it has nothing to do with the con's not doing well. It's just how people are. It has everything to do with your booth position and everything else. We've gone over that. So I shouldn't have even been worried about it because it's not really relative or relevant, whatever last year's numbers. But that's kind of what we do. We always think, oh, this is what I made last year. I want to do better than that. So Saturday, Sunday slash Sunday, started off very slow, and then when it kicked in, that it kicked in hard. I ended up doing better. I made up the difference from the Friday and did really, really well on Saturday. So it actually ended up topping last year, my grosses. So,
Oh,
so I was pretty
nice.
happy with it. How did yours go?
Actually, so it was weird. It was the opposite. Saturday, the beginning of the
Yeah.
day was packed for me. I made half of my entire day goal in literally the first like 2 hours. And I was like, oh, this is
Yeah.
going. And then it just for me hard
Yeah.
after that. I'd even hit my minimum goal for the day after that. I
That's
mean, literally, I
heartbreaking.
tell you, I think the last like 3 hours of the show, I think I
Yeah.
did like $400 or $500. I mean, it was like on the
Oh,
busiest day, whatever, when I'm like, I should be doing,
right.
$500 an hour minimum on that. And I couldn't even get
Right.
to that
Well,
in
you
1
hope.
hour.
You hope.
Yeah. I
But
mean, I'm looking at
yeah,
my
it doesn't always
numbers
happen.
every year and it's like,
Yeah.
it's just, this one was so much worse. And it's crazy
Yeah.
because this was by far, and I mean, by far the biggest crowd they've had. It was packed the entire time.
It was
I
I've
mean,
never seen a crowd like
insane,
that in Salt Lake. It was
insane.
unbelievable.
And
Yeah.
they were all happy-go-lucky, but I saw a lot. And I know you can verify this for me because everyone
Yeah.
else I talked to said the same thing. A lot of either empty hands,
Yes.
period, or
Yep.
just a photo in their hand,
Yeah.
which
Oh,
means that I
100%.
think the
They
problem
were
that
dropping
Salt
it
Lake,
open to celebrities.
yeah, that I think the Salt
Yeah.
Lake thing is, they had like 140 guests. Like, you
Yeah.
guys,
It
can
was
you please
ridiculous.
stop with the 140 guests?
Quit trying to
It
one up
doesn't bring in more
yourselves
people.
every
Yeah, it
time.
does.
I know. Yeah. It was
And
crazy crowded.
it's one of those things where like you set a precedent that's unattainable, and it's
Right.
going to be a negative return in the long run if you just keep doing that, because you can bring in the same crowd with 70 guests if you make a really good guest. If you had Chris Evans and Thor and whatever, like if you had these big names there, you would only need two
Yeah.
of them. You'd have the same crowd there. You know what I'm
100%.
saying? Like you could have had Mel Gibson, Danny Glover, and
Yeah.
another person, and like then everyone else could be like other A or like A minus and
But
B
then nobody could
listers.
afford
That's
the
it.
autographs. they need some lower end autograph getters
Well, no, they do,
to
but they need 40. They don't need
yeah,
140. Is my
100%.
point. And
100%.
you go to that back area, and it's just, just nothing
It's
but celebrities.
aisles. It's
It's
literally
insane.
aisles of celebrities. Yeah. It's crazy.
And I don't think that helps the show. It definitely does not help vendors and
Right.
artists. I
It
think
doesn't help
it's
vendors. I talked to multiple vendors that it was down for everybody.
yeah.
That was a pretty strong consensus this year. Let us know in the comments below if you saw a difference. But most vendors I talked to were definitely down. So yeah, I do think Mel Gibson and the number of celebrities definitely did a number on the crowd this year. And there's
And
really no way to get around that, though. They're going to
it's
keep
one of
doing
those
it.
it's one of those oh, absolutely there. But there's
Yeah.
one of those things in which if you have a huge guest like that, you need to announce them earlier.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah,
I'm
you're right.
sorry, because
What
these
was it?
dudes
2
save up,
months? How
they
many
save
months
up.
out did they announce him?
I don't know if it cannot have been more than 2 months. I'd have been late
Yeah, it
summer, I
was.
felt like.
Yeah, it felt like it was recent. Yeah, I agree. I hate it when they announce a massive guest like a few weeks before,
Yeah,
because
Fan
anyone that's
Expo
saving, it
is
throws off their whole budget.
Fan Expo is highly guilty of that. They do that at every single show.
Yes.
It's like they reach in their
Yeah.
back pocket to try and get more ticket sales, and it just ends up
Yep.
fucking over vendors and artists every time.
Yeah, it
Every time.
does. You're not
It's
wrong.
silly.
Okay, so overall, you ended up being down. I mean, we normally
Significantly.
do our sum
So,
up with, is it worth going back? Salt Lake's always going to be worth going back, if anything, to keep the booth. So this is kind of no matter what we end up saying right now, it's worth going back. Obviously, yours was down, so it'll be a sacrifice, but you'll still want to go back. Because I think it'll probably be a lot better for you next time, because by then it'll be another year of working with this product and growing that business. So I think you'll end up doing a lot better. Obviously, I'm going back because it was really good for me. But it is not a cheap show.
No, speaking of that, let's break it down. Why don't you go ahead and start and break it down? Let's go.
So, I mean, my booth, I got one of what they call dealer's alley booths. So it's a lot like Artist Alley, same amount of space, 2 6-foot tables. Of course, I got it on a corner so that you can try to wedge another table in there. I will say this, on paper, that's what it said, that it was the same as Artist Alley. But when I got there, it was a little bit larger depth-wise in the booth.
Yeah, you had
Still
more
only
deep,
6 foot.
depth.
But it definitely had more depth.
I mean, you definitely had more girth than I did. So
that's right. I would say it was between 8 and 10 feet deep, honestly. And I was expecting it to be about 4. 6 foot deep, like it is over in Artist Alley. So that was a nice little thing. But that booth was $1,200. And I'm sorry, it was $1,300. And I think last year I had a regular vendor corner, which was only about $1,000. So granted, I got 2 foot of more space, 12 foot compared to 10. I don't know if it was worth the extra $300 for that 2 feet, I guess is what I'm saying. I probably would have done the same numbers.
You got the same square footage because you pulled the 2 from the 8 feet on the depth instead of 10. If you're talking about width,
that's true.
But really,
that's true.
You got the same. You got the same.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a 10 by 10 corner, but you paid $300 more for it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think my position was great. However, I ended up doing well. I think if when I go back for next year, I'm going to probably try to move again. But we'll see. We'll see where the mood strikes when we re-sign up. But anyway,
yeah, we had a major issue because this is one of the few shows I still have if anybody knows, I used to do artist booking where I book artists on shows as a kind of like a consulting type gig. And I had like 4 clients at this show. And when I got there, if anybody knows, a friend of the show, Lexi, left FanX. And they replaced it with Katie.
Yes. Very sweet girl.
And I will say this, full disclaimer, nothing was Katie's fault. And to be honest with you, she was fantastic.
She got thrown into the deep end.
And she did a lot of work. She solved, oh my God, I can't imagine how many problems. She solved like 3 just for me alone.
Yeah.
and she was great. Like, I hope
Yeah,
actually they keep her, and it's not temporary,
I hope
because
so
she was
too.
really on the ball, and she did a
Yeah,
phenomenal job, because she got thrown into the
yeah,
shitter. I mean, oh my God, I
really
can't even
did.
imagine. It's crazy.
There was so many problems when vendors arrived. There was some vendors there that had been on the list up till a couple weeks before, and then their booth just disappeared.
Yeah.
And others had the wrong booths. It was a Lexi leaving was definitely felt by them. You could tell.
Hmm.
Um, so you
Yeah,
know,
we had out of the 4 people I booked for, only 3 of them even had uh
yeah.
one of the 4 only. It was only one of them that had space, and they had the wrong space. So all 4
Wow.
had wrong space.
Oof.
They were all taken care of, but at that point, a lot of them were not in good positioning. They were had to take
Right.
take what you get, because
Yeah, you're just taking what you get to set up. It just kind of
yeah.
throws off your whole vibe. I
And so
totally
their
get that.
numbers, they all pretty much had the worst Salt Lakes they had too.
Yeah,
So,
that sucks.
um, but it is
Well,
what it is.
yeah,
So,
exactly. As far as money goes, I'll just roughly ballpark it. My expenses ended up being pretty high for the show because I was coming cross country. About $200 for food, almost $300 for gas. Um, the hotel was expensive, so I ended up putting about almost $700 into hotels. Of course, $35 a day
well,
to park. Oh yeah,
you spent more than me on hotels, you
I
bougie
did.
bitch.
I did.
It's
Well,
because
it's
you had
also
the wife with
because
you. No, it's because you
no,
had the
it's
wife with
actually
you. She's
because we left 2 days early because we had to. So yeah, it definitely added up. And then that $35 a day parking adds up. So it was about 100, a little over $100 for parking. So with the booths and all the supplies, prints and all that, all my expenses ended up being 3,300 for the show. So but I was definitely I'm definitely comfortable rebooking it, making what we like to say is 3 times expenses. I was very happy with the results of it.
so my good. I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Even though you lied, because we both know that you picked a better hotel because Shannon was with you. Shout out Shannon.
about
She
twenty
won't stay
dollars
at
a
some of
night
the
better,
places.
sure. You
Yeah,
know,
she
I
won't
don't
stay
really
at the
stay
same
in
place as
bad ones.
Crystal.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, not real big on the Motel Sixes, and they leave the light on for me. I'm just saying.
For all you young AC vendors, I will tell you that that is actually the Motel Six's old slogan. So there
That's
you
right. Because you're
go.
no doubt a Gen Zer, you don't know what a Motel
Yes.
6 is or what their slogans were. And their
Right.
spokesperson that used to say it was named Tom Bodette because he would say his name every commercial. I'm Tom
It's
Bodette
Tom
from Motel
Babette
6,
here. Yep.
and we'll leave the light on for you. Brilliant move, Tom Bodette. Although I don't believe he worked in anything else but Motel 6 commercials. So, but he made a career of it. So
Yeah.
good for him.
I mean, career, I guess. Good.
so,
Cool.
so do you want to
Um,
skip over yours or you want to go over yours?
um, so my cost was only about $300 less than you,
Yeah.
because the flights were a little expensive, and I had
Oh,
to rent a
yeah.
car too. So it was like
Yeah.
double whammy on
Oof.
that, which, ahead of time you're absolutely okay with. You're just like, yeah, it is what it
Totally.
is.
A big show.
Whatever.
Yeah. This is what it
And then
costs.
it ended up being shitty.
Oh,
I did not hit my 3x goal.
right,
I
right.
squeaked by with a profit. I think I'm in a moment where I can't get past a certain number at no matter the size of the show.
Yeah.
Shout out to our friends at Soda City. I did $100 less at Soda City than I did at this show, in a 2-day show with literally 11 hours of shows. That was
That's it.
literally like an hour drive from my
And
house that I
but
stayed at home.
also
So
go over what 4,000 attendees at Soda City compared to over 100,000 at FanX. That's
yeah,
insane.
yeah.
Wow.
And I made significantly more profit at Soda City than I
Oh
did
yeah. That's
at Salt
amazing.
Lake, which, if I was a betting man, I would have lost that bet 10 times over. And I
Yeah.
would never take that bet ever. Be like, oh, 2 days at Soda City or 3 at Salt Lake. I'm like, yeah,
Right.
obviously Salt Lake,
Totally.
like, it's not even
Yeah.
close.
I get it.
It was like my dating profile life. I just kept getting rejected over and over and over
Swipe
and over
on
again,
your
dude.
face.
Dude, it was swipe
Nope.
left the entire weekend for me. It was just like,
Wow.
okay, cool.
Well,
Um, yeah.
well, good. I guess that gets us to the loadout, which I'm sure you loaded out and got out of there Sunday night, I assume, because you really basically walked
Yeah,
out to the
I
parking lot,
f-
right?
yeah, my flight was at like it's like 6:30 in the morning, so I had to get there
Okay.
really early.
Sure.
Um, and if any of you friends here that are flying to Salt Lake for the first time, if you fly in or out of it and you're not on Delta, you will walk almost a mile from your gate to
Ooh,
security. With the
gross.
new, like if you're in Terminal B, if you see that B on your thing, you need to give yourself an extra 15 to 20 minutes.
Gross.
It's literally that far. So I had to get up extra
It's
early to get up
terrible.
at like 4 something,
Yeah.
and get my ass to the airport. And I didn't get packed down and everything because when I was packing up, I had like 10 vendors come up to me talking to me about Anime Town and just like asking me questions and stuff like that. And, shooting the shit. And it slowed down my packing quite a bit. I had to play the way game and all
Right.
the stuff I normally don't do because I just throw myself in the car and go. But I
Right.
do the whole way game, which I absolutely despise, and I don't want to do much
Yeah.
more. A couple times this year, and that's it. But
Yeah. Well, I took advantage of the thing that is in the exhibitor handbook, and I'm still surprised how many vendors don't either know about it or have ignored it or are scared of it. But in the exhibitor handbook, you can load out on Saturday night, it ends at 7, and you're supposed to be out by 11, which I know no one is. They're still waiting in line at midnight sometimes.
yeah,
But it also says you can come back in Sunday morning and load out. I've now done it 2 years in a row, guys. Let me just tell you about this. From 8 to 11 a.m. on Sunday, you basically all you do Saturday night is pack your whole booth up, put it into a stack or however you're going to leave it, and leave. Go to dinner, go home, whatever you're doing. Sunday morning, you pull back in at your leisure between 8 and 11 a.m., pull right up to your booth, load it, and leave. Y'all, it is the easiest thing ever. It's awesome. I do not know why there's only a handful of vendors when I'm doing it. Both years, 6, 7 vendors that I see loading out in that morning. You can pull right in,
like
dude.
I get it if it's a show that ends at 4 or 5, but it ends at 7. And to be
Yeah,
honest with you, there are still people in the building at 7. So like you
100%.
really can't start breaking down if you're trying to make sales till like 7:30.
No,
And
I
then
had
you're
people
not
at my
done till
booth
9 or
after 7
10.
doing sales.
Yeah. So like let's just say
Yeah,
you get out there. Like I got there at like 11, almost 11.
sure,
It was like
sure.
10:30. And I took my Uber back to the hotel and I didn't even realize how late it was.
Yeah,
But like if what's the difference between that? If you just go get dinner, go to bed, and come back, you should not be driving unless you're one of those people who love driving at night. I'm not
yeah.
at all.
Right,
Um,
right.
but like if you get on the road, you're not getting on the road till 9 or 10.
No,
And how far are you going to get? A couple
yeah.
hours at night
Either
in the
way,
mountains?
the lack of stress, because load-in, again, was easy there, but that whole Saturday night thing with that 3-hour window, 3, 4-hour
Crazy.
window is so much stress. There's a huge line outside always
Yep.
for the loading dock. Everyone's trying to get packed up as fast as possible. I was packed up by 8:45. We were at dinner by 9. It was so easy. And then to be able to pull right in, right up to your booth, it took me 20 minutes to load my car, and I was gone the next morning.
Glorious.
And there was 6 or 7 vendors that I saw the whole time I was there.
Wow.
It's
That's
a
great.
no-brainer. You guys have got to start doing it. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, if they have your situation where you're flying out, it's a different thing. But if you're driving, there is no reason to be loading out Saturday night.
Yeah.
Pack it up, come back in the morning.
Well, that's a great tip. Also,
So,
here's another tip for you guys. On Saturday in downtown Salt Lake, metered and street parking is free. So if you
right.
can get there really early,
Yeah.
I told this to a friend of the show, and she got there early and got a spot right out behind the loading dock. And she's like, I literally loaded
Oh, you
out and
can't
was
beat
gone
that.
by 8:30. And
That's
I was
awesome.
like, nice. And she's like, I waited till midnight last year in the loading dock. And she's
Yeah.
like, I just,
Most people
I,
do.
so she's like, she did exactly what I did at Denver. I don't know if I
Yeah.
remember telling you this, but at Denver, I wanted to drive because I drove that show and I wanted to get out as
Yeah.
fast as humanly possible. And I moved my car at like 3:30 in the morning to a very
Yeah.
front spot of
I
the
remember
convention
you did
center
tell
because
me
it's
that.
free. Because it's
Yeah.
free after 8 p.m. on Saturday or whatever, 6
Yep.
p.m. And it's free on Sunday. And
That
so
was
I
the
was like,
move.
oh, well, let me just, I know people are going to be eating, going to bars and whatever, but like, I'm gonna go. And I went there and I looked up and the spot was just, I ran to my car at literally 3 a.m. in my flip flops and shorts and a t-shirt
That's the
and
way to do it.
moved my car right to the front, and it was awesome. I got out so much faster than everyone else.
Yeah.
Oh my, I did in 2 loads. And I was out by like an hour and a half after the show ended and was on the road and going because I wanted to leave that. Because fun fact, I didn't do well there either. Maybe it's those
It'll
high
get
altitudes
better.
are just not good for me,
That's what it is.
Those have been my 2 worst shows. My 2 worst shows this year have been high
Yeah.
altitude, so it's a fun fact.
Well, what else you got for FanX? I think we pretty much summed it up. It was A+ for me, not so much plus for you, but I'll, can't blame the show. You're going to be back for that show.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a D- for me, but it wasn't because of the show necessarily. I think they need to change a few things. I think they need to change the layout. I just don't think it works anymore.
Yeah.
I think they need to figure out how to get people in the doors without having them going to the side and be able to go straight to the celebrities and not go by half the show floor. I think that they need to cut down the celebrity list significantly by half, I would say. And then, not get too ballsy crazy with raising prices on booths and all that stuff. When I would say 90% of vendors I knew were down and artists.
Yeah.
I think you're the only person I talked to, I think, that was actually up.
I agree. I couldn't agree more. And honestly, until Saturday, I was, it looked like I was in everybody else's boat. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think you and Lisa, and that was just because Lisa had a helper there last year. Lisa, the friend of the show, Pixel.
Right.
We love you. But it's she was up when she was happy with what she had done.
Yeah.
She's still expecting more, but I think what she told me, but she was happier with her numbers that she did, especially compared to last year. So yeah, but overall, I'll be back 100%. It's one of my favorite shows to do. The community there is fantastic. I think a lot of the sales I didn't make was because I didn't have a lot of repeat customers from people because they didn't recognize my stuff. I think they were looking for the same thing I've had there for literally like 7-8 years. And now this is completely different. A couple people come like, weren't you guys selling like metal things last time? I have a bunch of your private like boat. And I was like, yeah, this is different. Like, oh, this is cool. And then a couple people bought, but like for the most part, it's just not recognizable. So I got to step up my game, which is on me. And I think if FanX adjusts their a little bit of what they're doing, I think will help everyone involved. But overall, I'll be back. I think this was an anomaly year for like a lot of shows. Was an anomaly, and I think next year and the year after are going to be really great again. So that's it for me.
Let's hope.
So
sounds good. Well, we appreciate you guys watching our review of FanX Salt Lake City 2024, and we'll see you guys next week.
Join the convo.
Bye, guys.